Well, the Kings are starting their road trip in Boston, and this figures to be as difficult of a road game as maybe they'll play all year. And they're playing very well, 55-53. And guys, what really strikes me is, DeMar DeRozan didn't do anything in that first half, and you had Kevin Huerter off the bench, 0 of 5 from 3, and yet the Kings are only down by 2 points.
Yeah, it's really an interesting half, I think. I mean, the Kings obviously played extremely well, started off hot, but fought back even when going through a cold stretch. I thought, as you pointed out, Grant, I mean, DeRozan and Herter just kind of no shows in that first half. You're going to have to get some production out of both those guys second half. But Kings battle, and I think the one thing I would say is that what the Kings are really good at is playing with a lot of pace and they like to put ball pressure on. That's what the Celtics do. The Celtics have just basically had more success. But hey, I think the Kings got to keep doing what they're doing and what they're good at.
Yeah, in an odd way, I'm kind of encouraged. They only shot 8.3% in the second quarter from beyond the arc, and they went away from Sabonis and Keegan Murray, who shot the ball well in the first quarter. I think Sabonis is kind of that defensive matchup that's a problem for Boston on the perimeter, so I want to see them go back to that in the third quarter.
Yeah, and the other aspect of this first half, if I'm looking at this from Boston's perspective, they're probably feeling very good because they shot 41% and they were only 24% from beyond the arc, and yet they have the lead. Now, of course, the Kings are playing without De'Aaron Fox again. We can toss around a lot of the numbers. Jerry, so let me ask you, this is now the third game in a row without Fox. What's the biggest difference you see with the Kings without Fox right now?
Well, basically, Malik Monk has become the dominant ball handler and playmaker. Obviously, he's looking to score. He's kind of taken Fox's role. I mean, other than that, and of course, you're out one of your most talented, if not most talented player. But I think Monk has just stepped into that role seamlessly, if anything.
It's the ball movement. The ball is humming around, even against a really good Boston team. I guess the argument, and you guys brought it up at the start, DeMar DeRozan kind of slowed things down there in that second quarter, but Malik is making plays and everybody's touching the ball. It's infectious.
Yeah, I thought you made a good point too. I really think that the ball needs to get into Sabonis more. He draws attention. He can spray it out. I think he needs to look for his shot a little bit more. But I think good things happen. The ball will move, and you can break the Celtics defense down because they take a lot of chances.
Jerry, you mentioned the Kings got off to a good start, and they did. But I want to talk about that second quarter with the Kings only scoring 19 points. Do you think that was more of what the Kings weren't doing, making shots, or do you think that was more of what Boston was doing to it? Was this game, and the reason why I'm asking you to forecast what's going to happen in the third and fourth quarter. Do you think we're going to see more of the first quarter or more of the second quarter? Which was more of the real game here?
I would say I think it's just more of the first half. I think you're going to have both teams, when you shoot a lot of threes, you play with pace, you're going to have stretches, you miss shots. Now, I think with the Kings, they going to the bench really wasn't very effective offensively, and so having Ox off the floor and Keegan off the floor and Monk off the floor, they're just offensively not the same team. So I think a key really will be just how much you can play those top guys. I think the Kings have got to play their top guys a lot of minutes here tonight to have a chance. And one other thing, the Kings done a great job on Jason Tatum, but be very afraid. Jason Tatum didn't seem to be too interested in scoring. He will be in the second half.
Jerry, really quick to Grant's question. The Celtics mixed in some zone towards the end of the second quarter. Do you see that coming again in the third and fourth, possibly?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely think we'll see that. And the Kings, really that's one thing here in recent games that the Kings have had trouble with.
Right.
Miami game, they had trouble with the zone. So I think teams are going to make the Kings play against the zone. And there again, that's why you've got to get the ball at the high post or inside to Sabonis and let him create numbers and get a quick pass out to break it down. But if you're just going to play around the perimeter, you're easy to match up with.
All right, prediction time. I'll go first. I think Boston wins this game. I'm looking at the Kings without Fox, and as good as they have looked, I just think you're in Boston. The Celtics know they didn't shoot the ball well, and they still lead by 2. I think they will. I think they're going to win 114 to 104. Ryan, what do you say?
I think the Celtics win this one too. I'm going to say 109 to 103. I'm worried about the free throws, Jerry. Only 4 in the first half for the Kings.
Yeah, good point.
Excellent point. Yeah, the Kings got to get more aggressive, find a way to get to the basket a little more. But, I guess I'll make it unanimous. I think the Celtics win this 110, 105. But love to be wrong.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to break it down, of course, after the game with your phone calls. But all in all, if you're starting a road trip, you don't have Fox, you've won 5 in a row. Jerry, we keep saying this, and we've been saying this for years and years and years. This is a type of game where you're Sacramento. Hang around and hang around and hang around and be in the game with 5 minutes left and see what happens.
Boy, exactly right. And especially a team like Boston, great as they are, they depend on the 3-point shot. So if you hang around and the game gets tight, those 3-pointers get a little tougher. So let's just see what happens. The pressure's on the Celtics. So Kings can play loose and easy and free and just hang around and put some pressure on the boys in green.
Jerry, I got to ask one quick question. I got to sneak one more in. The Jaylen Brown mismatch that the Celtics started with 10 points in the first 6 minutes. How can the Kings combat that here in the second half?
Well, they've got to get double help quick on that. And I mean, or just don't get those switches. We're getting Domas is really staying out top too much especially when Cornet or somebody else is out there. Porzingis is one thing, but you don't need to be out there. Go ahead and drop in and basically play a one-man zone if you have to.
Is the team that shoots better from 3 going to win this game right now in the second half? I mean, both teams, we know the Kings aren't a good 3-point shooting team. They were 9 of 30, but we keep talking about Boston. They were only 6 of 25. Is that the number one stat to look at here in the second half, Jerry?
I think there's 2. I think that's number 1, and I think getting to the free throw line. I think you'll be able to. That's going to, so the Kings have got to do a better job of that. But those 2 things would concern me.
Let me throw in a third: shot attempts. I think the pace that's absolutely huge as well.
Both
I do like the way the Kings took care of the ball, Jerry.
They did a great job, and I mean, I think that obviously the Celtics are a good defensive team, so. Keep taking care of the ball like that, and you're going to have a chance at this game. And just got to love the way the Kings are playing. Just keep doing what you're doing, play with pace, try to pressure the ball as much as you can. Obviously, this is a team that does those things probably better than you do, but tonight they may not.
Yeah, it's oddly comforting. I go back to that because Boston played a lot in the paint, and the Kings have 22 points in the paint. They're only down 6 to Boston in the paint. It feels like they even tried to get in there, Jerry.
Yeah, I agree. They really doesn't seem like they have. I mean, other than, in transition, Monk or somebody going to the basket, but in the half court, you really haven't seen that. And I think we clearly need to see more of that. And, and then add the fact that DeRozan and Herter got to make a shot here and there.
People want to know about our predictions. Have we ever predicted the other team would beat the Kings, and by how much? Yeah, we do it all the time. Maybe you only hear what you want to hear. 48 minutes, that's the number. You're right. I mean, you better not have a lull here in the second half if you're Sacramento against this team, because if you have a lull against the Celtics, and they haven't been great at home this year, but they're still Boston, they're still 27-10. You better not go through a bad 5-minute stretch in this half.
Yeah.
You just can't do it against this team.
Great point, Grant.
No, they can go on a big run, and I think we'll see the Celtics defense stiffen up a good bit. So the Kings got to be ready for that as well. I think the Kings defense can get a little tighter as well.
Did Athena really just ask if we ever picked the other team? Didn't we all 3 pick the Celtics?
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, we've done it quite a few times, and always happily to be wrong. Of course, we pick them to win, and sometimes a lot of times they haven't. So,
and the other issue is during this 5-game win streak, the third quarter has not been a good quarter for Sacramento. If you look at the Philadelphia game and you look at the Miami game, they both had big third quarters. Yes, the Kings came back and won in the fourth. I don't think you're coming back against Boston if you start the fourth you're down by double digits. I just don't see it.
No, you got to keep them in range. And like I say, I think be very careful. Watch Jason Tatum. I think it's going to be a real key here in this game to see what kind of offense he can get going. The Kings done a great job on him. I think Lyles and Keegan Murray both have done a terrific job on him, but it's going to get tougher.
Jerry, I was thinking about this before the game began. One of my most enjoyable parts of being at a Celtics game was in the media room before the game. So often, Tommy Heinsohn would sit down with you and have our pregame meal. And I would sit there and I would just listen to Tommy's stories. They were so unbelievable, Jerry.
Wasn't he great? Yeah, he was always so nice, and really, like you say, obviously enjoyed him so much. And like I say, not many guys had the stories that Tommy had. And of course, I'd always kid him. I loved when he and Kuzi were doing the games together for years. It's when they were doing the games, it sounded like two guys sitting at the bar, just shooting the bull. I loved it. Talking about the C's, but. Tommy, we miss him.
Hey, Dingbat, we didn't predict who won the game ever when we were on TV at halftime. And then, we'd go out onto the court and we would talk to Danny Ainge. And that was always, being with Tommy and then Danny, that was quite an evening of entertainment.
Yeah, if you couldn't get some information with those two, but and of course, Danny, I don't think he's ever had a bad day in his life, has he? I mean, he is. Yeah. He's just always a great sense of humor. So a lot of good things at Boston and the Celtics Dome.
Jerry, do you still have your book for sale so we can help out some of these people that said if Jerry wrote a book, I would buy it? Well, we have good news for you.
Well, yeah, I think you can get it on Amazon. The problem, is they, the second publisher, they changed the name of the book, Tales from the Sacramento Kings. It's the exact same book that I wrote in 2005, and Don Drysdale and I, we don't really get any, they kind of screwed us.
What? I don't understand that. The book's not called Reynolds Remembers anymore?
Well, you can still get it, but it's not, there's some old ones on Amazon you can get, but the recent publication, the new publisher bought the rights and they changed the name. So they wouldn't have to pay me and Don, I think. That's pretty
what? That's crazy. Absurd. Well, that's ridiculous. I'm still waiting for the book to come out the day that you say goodbye to all of us, that is published. Reynolds Remembers Everything. We're waiting for that, Jerry.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I've told you many times, if I do that, I'll move up in the hills and get a shotgun on my lap and a couple of German shepherds, because I don't know how long I'd be around,
Hey, Jerry,
I feel like Joey Gallo and the Mafia boys looking for me.
Oh my God, Jerry! On that note, thank you. We'll talk to you at halftime of the Chicago game.
Can't wait, guys. Take care.
Thanks,
Ryan.
Jerry.
Thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you after the game. Your phone calls. Enjoy the second half, everybody.